The book title is Difficult Conversations: How to Discuss What Matters Most by Douglas Stone, Bruce Patton, and Sheila Heen. Douglas Stone is a lecturer on law at Harvard Law School and a partner at Triad Consulting Group, a consulting firm specializing in negotiation, communication, and conflict resolution. Bruce Patton is deputy director of the Harvard Negotiation Project, which he co-founded. He is also a partner in CMI, Vantage Partners LLC, a global consulting firm that helps organizations build their capacity to manage relationships, negotiations, and conflict. Sheila Heen is a lecturer on law at Harvard Law School and a partner at Triad Consulting Group, a firm dedicated to assisting individuals and organizations with their toughest conversations. Difficult conversations can be a challenging aspect of professional and personal relationships. They can be uncomfortable, emotional, and even confrontational. However, avoiding them can often lead to more significant problems and misunderstandings. Therefore, it is essential to have a framework for approaching and handling difficult conversations effectively. The first step in handling difficult conversations is to establish a structure for the discussion. The structure should include 3 simultaneous discussions: what happened, feelings, and identity. The first discussion, what happened, aims to establish a shared understanding of the situation and the facts involved. This discussion should focus on what has occurred, what actions were taken, and what consequences resulted. The second discussion, feelings, involves acknowledging and understanding the emotions of both parties. This discussion should include identifying and validating each other's emotions, expressing how the situation made them feel, and identifying any emotional triggers that may have contributed to the problem. The third discussion, identity, focuses on how the situation has affected each person's sense of self and their relationship with the other person. This discussion should include exploring any beliefs, assumptions, or biases that may have influenced the situation and how to move forward while preserving each other's identity and relationship. The second step is to begin the conversation from the third story. The third story is an invisible perspective or description of the problem between 2 parties in a difficult conversation. It is the perspective of a neutral observer, mediator, or a mutually agreed upon description of what is going on between the 2 parties. It takes away judgment and only captures the difference in perception or viewpoint, allowing both sides to acknowledge and sign on to the same description of the problem. This approach involves opening up to the other person's perspective and inviting joint exploration. This method involves taking a step back from the situation and exploring the underlying values, assumptions, and perspectives that may be contributing to the problem. By starting from a place of empathy and understanding, it becomes easier to move forward and find solutions. The third step is to practice active listening and empathy. Active listening involves fully concentrating on what the other person is saying, seeking to understand their point of view, and responding thoughtfully. Empathy involves putting oneself in the other person's shoes, imagining how they feel, and trying to understand their perspective. Active listening and empathy are essential for building trust and creating a safe space for difficult conversations. The fourth step is to express oneself well. This involves understanding one's entitlement and the belief that what one wants to share is important. Expressing oneself well has nothing to do with one's vocabulary or eloquence, but is more about clarity and authenticity. It involves expressing oneself honestly, assertively, and respectfully. Finally, the fifth step is to focus on problem solving. After exploring the situation, emotions, and identities, it is time to find a solution that satisfies both parties. This step involves brainstorming possible solutions, evaluating them, and agreeing on a course of action. Real-life examples from movies, novels, and other literature can certainly be used to illustrate these key points. For instance, in the novel To Kill a Mockingbird by Harper Lee, Atticus Finch begins a difficult conversation with his daughter Scout by opening from the third story. He shares his concerns about the racial injustices in their town and invites Scout to explore the issue with him. Similarly, in the movie Erin Brockovich, Erin engages in a difficult conversation with the CEO of a power company. She expresses her concerns about the company's negligence and shares her story about a community contaminated by the company's waste. Her empathetic approach and clear expression of her views and feelings eventually lead to problem solving and a settlement for the affected community. In conclusion, conducting difficult conversations is an essential skill for any professional. By establishing a structure, beginning from the third story, practicing active listening and empathy, expressing oneself well, and focusing on problem solving, difficult conversations can be approached and handled effectively.